Of some of the bowls that you can make with the method we'll be using today. This comes with handles and feet, so it's stable when you set it down and has handles. This one here does not have the handles and feet, but it is a nice bowl. So depending upon what you're doing, if you want to have a smaller version for like a salad, like a serving salad bowl, and then some eating bowls, portion sizes, that'll be a variety of what can be done with the types of things we're going to do today. Another option is you can also make a bowl that has handles and no feet, and you can use it as a lid to be able to cover over what's inside. You can choose to have your lid removable fully, or if you'd like, you can secure it here on one end and have it be able to swivel as needed. You'll need a board that's 1 by 12 for making the larger bowl. And when you actually measure it, it's not usually exactly 12 inches, but we need to make it square. The first thing you need to do is you need to find the center of your square piece of board. If it's square, it's better than it being rectangular. It'll affect your shape of your handles later. So the easiest way to do that on a square is just line it up from corner to corner and draw a straight line, as you see I have already done here. Then what you need to do is you can use something simple like this. Where you put your pen or some other object in the center and line it up, and you can use a pencil to make your circles at intervals that are already predetermined. In this case, starting at 2 inches and then 1 inch there beyond. And the last one that is really important is for the handles. You need to have your last line smaller than everything else. So if you're going to make up, if you're not going to use 11 1/4 size piece of wood, you want to make sure that your, whatever size piece of wood it is, your last circle needs to be pretty close to half the size of the rest of your spaces. So those are all 1 inch, and this is less than that. Feel free, if you want to make any other lines that you'll use for your handles that are not continuing, you can use those if you'd like. Handles, you want to, it's really helpful to have a little bit of a line at the edge showing where to kind of curve at the very end. So I'm going to just do a little bit here. Now if you also want to make this handy little trick, you just need to use a small little drill like this, and you can make the holes that you need at the spaces you want. These were done at 2 inches and then 1 inch successively into the edge of my piece of wood, but again, you can make it fit yours. After your circles are complete, if you are one who's fairly exacting, you might find it helpful to, on the back side, to make an X. That will be helpful for centering your handles and your feet at a later point. After cutting out the first center piece, I find it helpful to use this piece to draw edges on the remaining sides, so you can see where your lines are going to be when you line them up on the angled bandsaw. This is most particularly helpful when you come to the corners, when you're working on the feet and the handles. After I have drawn around the bottom edges of the board, I like to use this piece and line it up here on the cut edge as well as the original edge here, and make my circle as long as possible for my feet and make a pattern there. If you do not use your original piece, then it will not fit the bottom of your particular bowl. That otherwise succeeding size will be the wrong angle, and you'll want the proper angle to fit the bottom of your bowl.
Edges here while there's still a hand space to work the wood. Those lines help you to see where you're going when you're starting around from an unusual edge. When you have your edges just recently cut, go ahead and hold on to it, and you can sand it following the 45-degree angle.
After you've cut out your initial circle and your corner pieces while you have handle space, go ahead and then continue proceeding, cutting each of the circle lines facing the blade this direction, so you know that you're getting a good cut on your wood. And make sure when you come to the last one that you follow your outer circle and not the inner foot. We'll cut the foot later in just a bit. Once you've cut out your most outer ring, you'll have the small portion here left. You'll want to just put it through the saw to cut it in half. And then you'll have your handle and your feet.
So you cut the sides of the inside for your smaller bowl.
Once your handle has been cut, you're going to want to sand it so it's going to fit smoothly into your bowl edge. So we're going to tip this over and do the same type of 45-degree angle so that it is smooth and it has less contour work to be done later in the next step.
You're going to want to use this sander, which is going to be smoothing it as well.
You want to make sure you do the same thing with the edge of your feet as well.
Sand these pieces before they go onto the bowl because it's much harder to sand them after it's on.
On your handle, you should have a line here from where you first drew your cross, your X. And if you happen to have drawn it on the back side, then you'll have it there as well. If you chose not to do on the back, you can estimate where you think the center is. It's just really helpful when you're trying to not only sand it to get it centered, but also when you're trying to line it up with your bowl. You want to make sure that it's going to be over the seam, and that's sometimes a lot easier to do when you can see where your line is and just line that up to make sure your handle is going to be centered to protect that from breaking.
Once you have all your pieces, you're going to want to assemble them and glue them in a particular pattern. First, you're going to want to lay down your outermost edge and your handles together. And then you're going to want to make sure wherever your gap is that you alternate the next level that comes together. So that way the bowl will be stronger than if you had, for instance, put all the cracks together here on one side. So you want to be careful as you glue it that you are able to have it with alternating creases. If you want to make a pattern with your creases, you may, or if you want to do it slightly off instead of exactly opposite, whatever your pattern looks like is obviously makes it your bowl. Top bowl is a little larger, and it should overhang just a little bit to make sure that you're able to get this to line over the edge here, so you can see how it overlaps just a little bit. Make sure you get that done as you're doing it and setting it all in place. Once it's in place, you're going to want to have it secured so it can dry with some pressure to keep it all where it belongs. Sometimes you'll get some dried glue area that's difficult because it's not going to be stained evenly. So you need, what I do is I like to get this wet with a little damp paper towel, and then as that's wet, you can usually just kind of roll it off or scratch it off and get that smooth till it's just the wood. Alright, for the feet, you're going to want to trim the 4 feet. And sometimes it's helpful to kind of see how close they fit. So if you trim 2, then you know how close or far away to trim the next 2. So I find that helpful to do before you get too far. You need to make sure that this does not change, but the rest of these need to be contoured with this tool. And then you're also going to want to make sure that you create a nice smooth area between this level and this one to help hold the handles in place. And that's what's going to give you this look here, where the handles will become one piece here, as you see. General basic shape of what you want contoured, feel free to start working on the inside, so that's what we'll do next. Take care when you're doing this that you don't get the inside portion of the bowl, or it can gouge out the inside of your bowl, which would not be helpful. This outside has a general contour of what we're looking for. It has this main base is maintained its original shape of the cut, and these have been sanded, contoured enough that they're able to meet up with each other in a reasonable manner. It's now time for us to use the sander to be able to get that smoother, and this will help with merging that all together. If you have any gaps, feel free to use some wood filler so that way it'll be a smooth transition from one area to another. After the inside has been reasonably contoured, then you can work on sanding it as well to get it smooth. Finish getting it reasonably sanded, you need to get some paper and sand it by hand. which just takes a little bit of time to kind of smooth it out a little more to how you like it. When you reach your final product of how smooth your sides are, then you want to glue on the feet.
This side's fine.
You want to position where they go. If you want one or two, or if you want all four, it's best to put it over where the seal is to keep it supported when it's going to be glued. So try to look that over, and what we'll do is I'll put glue on it and position it. Again, you're going to want to line it up, make sure you have the right one in the right place. Of course, we already made sure previously that they're all going to fit and not going to be too long to overlap. Once they're in the right place, then you can put them in the right position and glue them together properly. You can also put a little bit of weight on here to make sure that it gets the pressure needed.
All right, after you take it out, you're going to want to make sure the glue's off. And likewise, I've worked on this edge over here, and that's now smooth. And down here in the center of the bowl, you want to make sure that it also has its area all cleaned out. All right, after all your glue is removed, you might want to double check and make sure that your cracks have been filled with your wood filler and wipe off any excess. Make sure everything looks smooth to the touch and the way you want it to look. If you happen to still have any pencil marks still left on, you're going to want to make sure that you remove them. You can use an magic eraser, or you can sand them off. If there's any other marks, you can clean that off as well before you put the stain on.
Satisfied with the bowl and the shape and the texture that you desire, it's time to stain it.
Dry, feel free to go ahead and put some urethane on it, polyurethane. You'll want to do 3 coats of polyurethane. All right, so a recap of the project today is you started off with a blank piece of wood that we just drew an X, and then used a simple tool to make circles the size that you need. And then we used the bandsaw on a straight edge to cut it down the center. And then we used the bandsaw on a 45-degree angle to cut out the circles. We then used the bandsaw on the 45-degree angle to cut the corners while we still had handle space to reach what we were doing. And it was okay when we got to the very edge that the circle right to the edge is okay to cut right on that edge because it goes on a 45-degree angle. And that's what creates our feet and our handles. We then glued it together and put it together, making sure that the seams were alternating sides and not all together at the same location. That's also when we glued the handle on to make sure that it was in the right place as well. Then we used the contouring tool to contour the edges so it went from being rough to being smoother. And then we used the sander to smooth that down even more. If you had any problems, you might have used the wood filler as well. And that, of course, happened on the inside as well as the outside of the bowl. After that was all complete and ready and sanded and smoothed with varying degrees of sandpaper strength, then we added the feet and we were able to clean off all of the pencil markings and apply our stain. You can see here is the contouring work, and then the stain, and then we have here where we were able to apply our polyurethane. This has 3 coats of polyurethane on it. We made sure that we brushed in alignment with the grain, going this way for the handles, and then going this way for the edge of the bowl on the inside. You would do likewise the same on the outside as well for the feet and the handles, and then the progression with the bowl. Now your bowls can have a small bottom like this one here, with maybe just 2 or 3 layers for maybe a salad serving bowl, individual size, and the larger ones would be better for actually serving the salad as a whole, or whatever your situation might be for. You can see the variation would vary by the type of wood used as well as the color of the stain used. And so those are some examples of some stains as well as the polyurethane. So here you can see the finished product with the handles that is all stained and urethaned with the handles, and also with the feet to give it stability when you are trying to use it. It easily sets down and doesn't wobble. The ones that have a wider 2-inch circle base were able to have some stability when they sit without feet. The ones that had a 1-inch center base are a little bit more wobbly when they have more layers, which is why they would probably be best used with just perhaps 2 or 3 layers instead of 5. All right, hopefully you've enjoyed this project and hopefully you get to enjoy using it. Make sure that you wait 30 days between your last coat of polyurethane and actually putting any food into this if it's going to be used for food. God bless and enjoy.